Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this video lecture series in which we are talking about how we can improve and optimize our neural network. So until in the previous video lecture, we have seen that what is actually the trade-off between bias and variance. So we have the problem of high biasness and similarly we have a problem of high variance. And this problem of high biasness was basically seen in the training dataset because our model was actually underfitting to the training dataset. And the problem of high variance was occurring in the development set when there was a large error in the development set than as compared to the error that we have seen in the training dataset. So that was a rigorous trade-off between the bias and variance which people really face. And there were a few steps that were told in the previous video lecture as how we can reach to the optimal level of this bias and variance trade-off. Now, when I have told you that how we can deal with the high variance problem, then there were a few steps that I have told you to deal with it. The first one was that we can have a larger data set or we can take larger amount of data in order to remove the problem of high variance. And the another one was we can regularize our learning algorithm. So what this regularization basically means, we are going to see this in this video lecture. So let us continue and watch this video lecture. We are going to see how the mathematical implementation works behind regularization, and I hope this video lecture would have be very much informative to you. So let us continue and watch this lecture. So in this slide, we are going to see that how we can actually apply the regularization to the logistic regression. And for the prerequisites, I need to say that if you haven't watched my video lecture series regarding neural networks and deep learning, then I suggest you that you can first watch those lectures because there are a few representations and a few symbols that I'm going to use in this lecture, and these are already been described and told you in a much explanative way in that video lecture series. So if you have watched earlier that video lecture series, then I hope you would be comfortable enough to watch this video lecture. So let us continue with this. So what we have now is we have a cost function with us. So how we write our cost function is we actually need to achieve the minimum point, that is the global minima in our cost function. So what we need to do, we need to achieve the global minimum, and we have the parameters w and b for our cost function, and our cost function was basically described as j of w comma b. Okay, where w and b are the two parameters that we need to deal with, and we need to find the values of these two parameters w and b such that the value of this whole cost function is achieving the global minimum. And this is all what we are working for. And so let us discuss something about these two parameters w and b. So w is a parameter that has a dimension of nx cross m. So basically nx that I've written here are the number of parameters that we are using for w, and m is the number of training examples in the dataset. Okay, so these are all the notations that we have seen in that video lecture series. And similarly, we have another parameter as b, where b is often written as a real number. Okay, so these are the two parameters w and b. Now let us continue. Now what is actually the goal of the learning algorithm is, the goal of the learning algorithm is to find the minimum value of the cost function, that is j of w comma b. So we have a cost function j of w comma b, which is often described as 1 upon m summation of I equal to 1 to m, and then we write a loss function that is the error for a single training example, and that is written as y hat of I comma y of I. So basically in the loss function, what we are doing is we are finding the difference between the actual value and the predicted value, and we are summing it over to all the m training example. And since we need to find the average value, so we are dividing it by m. So this is how the cost function j of w comma b was made. And now, since we are studying about how to regularize the logistic regression, so this equation is the equation that we need to regularize. So for regularization, I am adding a few terms to this. So the term that I would be adding is lambda upon 2m and norm of vector w, okay, whole square. Also, now one thing to mention here is that the lambda that we are using here, this lambda is the regularization parameter. Now we'll talk about lambda in a few seconds later in this video lecture. For now, you only need to see that we have this parameter, we have this term lambda upon 2m norm of w whole square that needs to be added to this equation j of w comma b in order to regularize the logistic regression. Okay. Now, what are the two types of regularization that we have? Those are L2 regularization, and the another one as is the L1 regularization. So what we have written here is an example of L2 regularization that we are doing here, and data scientists and people working on machine learning domain often use L2 regularization instead of using L1 regularization. Why they basically use L2 regularization, I'll be telling you in a few seconds later. So now we are dealing with L2 regularization. And so we have here the norm of vector w, and we are squaring this norm. Okay, and this is then L2 regularization, so we are adding this 2 here. This is simply the simple symbol in order to denote the L2 regularization. So what we have, if this w is considered as a matrix, then what is actually the meaning of norm of w square in terms of matrix? So we'll write here that this is basically the summation from j equal to 1 to all nx parameters, and that is w of j square, and that is equal to w transpose into w. Okay, so basically if you need to write w square in terms of matrix multiplication, then this would be written as w transpose into w. So I hope this much is clear to you, and this was the L2 regularization that is applied to the logistic regression. Also, one question should come to your mind that we have regularized the parameter w, but there is another parameter b with us, and aren't we going to regularize this parameter also? The answer to this is we can regularize this parameter b also. Okay, so if you want to regularize this parameter b, then you can add another term lambda upon 2m, and since we are going to do L2 regularization with b also, so you can multiply it to b square. But why I am often not doing the regularization for the parameter b is because b is only a real number, and b does not have a very large dimension. But if we see the parameter w, then this parameter w is having very large dimensions in some cases where you have large amount of data with us, whereas the b is only comprising of real numbers, so there is not much need to regularize this parameter b. But if you want, you can do this, but for the sake of this and simplicity, I'm not regularizing this parameter w, because there is not going to be much gain or much benefit to us if we regularize this parameter b. Okay, so I'm not doing this. Another type of regularization that I have mentioned here in this video lecture is L1 regularization. So what this L1 regularization is, so instead of writing norm of W2 square, we can write it as lambda upon m summation of j equal to 1 to nx, and we only have to write w of j. Also what we can do is we can add 2 here just for the sake of scaling properly, but if you don't add then 2, then that's not a very big problem. So it becomes lambda upon 2m summation of j equal to 1 to nx mod of wj, and this can be further represented as lambda upon 2m norm of w1. Okay, so this, since this is L1 regularization, so we are writing 1 here. And one thing to note here is that you don't need to do the squaring of w here. Okay, so if we have L2 regularization, then what is often the need of L1 regularization? So what is often seen that if you use the L1 regularization, then what will happen is the matrix W that you have obtained will be a sparse matrix. What is a sparse matrix now? So the sparse matrix is a matrix in which you have maximum number of zeros, or the terms comprise, or each and or you can see that this is a matrix where the maximum number of elements will be 0. So what happens is this matrix, the sparse matrix, is very easy to compress because the 0 values take very less space in the data, in the memory. So there is a benefit of using L1 regularization over L2 regularization. But this creation of sparse matrix, that is a matrix having maximum number of elements as 0, does not benefit very much while training the model. So people often tend to use L2 regularization more. So you can use any one of those, and you can also take this as a hyperparameter that you can test both L1 regularization and L2 regularization, and whichever one gives you more accuracy or solves your problem for the bias variance trade-off, then you can use that one. Now, I've told you that I would be telling you in a few seconds about what is the term lambda that we are using here. So the term lambda is called as the regularization parameter. So this lambda is called as the regularization parameter, and this is just a kind of a constant. And what you can often do is you can treat this lambda as a hyperparameter in your algorithm, and you can take or initialize lambda to some random value, but this random value should be a small value so that you don't tend up to over regularize the cost function. Because what will happen if you have a high value of lambda, so this would decrease the variance to the significant amount, and what will happen now, this would tend to underfit the data, and this will cause the problem of high biasness also. So you need to keep in mind that the lambda, the parameter that is the regularization parameter, should have a small value in the beginning, and then you can take several values of lambda, and based on each value you can test the accuracy of your learning algorithm, and whichever accuracy suits you, that is whenever you get the best accuracy, then that value of lambda or regularization parameter can be used further. So now in this slide we have seen that how we can actually do regularization for the logistic regression. Now since we are studying this for the neural network, we need to see that how we can do regularization for the neural networks also. So let us continue and move over to the next slide. Now, for writing the cost function for the neural network, we have several parameters. Since for each and every node in the neural network, we would be writing the two parameters W and B. So what we have is the cost function would be written as W1 B1, W2 B2, and that would go on till W capital L B capital L, where capital L is denoting the total number of layers in the neural network. And so this cost function would be equal to 1 upon m summation of I equal to 1, and that goes up to m, and we have the loss function as y hat of I comma y of I. And now since again this is the cost function and we need to regularize this cost function that is related to our neural network, so what we again need to do is we need to add a term lambda upon 2m, and we need to apply summation from small l equal to 1 to capital L, that is the maximum number of layers that we have in this neural network. And now we need to put a norm of W and this L whole square. Okay. Now what this term would be, if you expand this term, what this term would be denoted as, this would be denoted as norm of W whole square, that is equal to summation of I equal to 1 to NL summation of j equal to 1 to n of L minus 1 and W of I comma j whole square. Now one thing to see here is that you often may ask that what is the reason that I have taken the summation from I equal to 1 to NL and j equal to 1 to NL minus 1. So for each and every layer in the neural network, in the video lecture series for neural network and deep learning, we have seen that how we can find actually the dimensions for the parameter W. So the dimension for parameter W for each layer would be, we first need to count the nodes for the particular layer in that neural network. So NL suppose would be the number of nodes on a particular layer of the neural network for which we need to find the dimension of parameter W, and then we need to see that what are the number of nodes in the previous layer. So those would be NL minus 1. So in the layer that is just previous to the present layer, we are going to count the number of nodes, and this NL comma NL minus 1 would be the dimension of our parameter W. So therefore I would go from I equal to 1 to NL and J would grow from J equal to 1 to NL minus 1. Okay. And then similarly, like in L2 regularization, we are using W of I comma J whole square. Okay. Now instead of writing this as L2 regularization, this is often called as the Frobenius norm. So This is called as the Frobenius norm. Okay, and since this is called as the Frobenius norm, then instead of writing 2 here in the subscript, we can write a capital F here. Okay, so this would give us a better understanding that this is called as the Frobenius norm. And now, since this is a neural network, so after applying the normalization to the forward propagation step, now it is the time that we have found the final output of the neural network, and we need to perform the backward propagation step also. So in the backward propagation step also, we need to induce the regularization also. So what we are going to do here is that for finding the backward propagation, we need to have the value of dw, and the value of dw of L would be equal to what we would calculate this from the back propagation. Okay. And now, if you have any doubt regarding how we can perform the backward propagation, or you are unknown to what is the forward propagation and how we can apply backward propagation to the neural network, then you can watch my video lecture series, that is Introduction to Neural Networks and Deep Learning, that is uploaded in this YouTube channel. And from there you would get a brief discussion about what is backward propagation and forward propagation. And so this value of dw can be obtained from the backward propagation, and we also need to apply the regularization to this term also. And to do this, we need to add the term here lambda upon m wl. So this would be the regularization that we would do for the backward propagation. And now, after doing this regularization, what we need to do is we need to update the parameter w and b. So while updating the parameter w, it would be w of L colon equal to w of L minus alpha times of dw. And in the superscripts, I need to write L also. So this would be the parameter update for the backward propagation. So in this way, we could apply regularization to the neural network. Now, another concept that has to be mentioned here is that the parameter w that we have written here, we are often decaying this parameter. Why we are decaying this parameter? Because suppose if we write this equation instead of writing dw of L here, so what will happen is this equation would be like w of L, that is equal to w of L minus alpha times of, instead of writing dw of L, we can write, we have got something from the backward propagation, and then we are adding the regularized term lambda upon m w of L. Okay, so what this will happen is if we expand this, then this would become wl minus lambda upon m wl minus alpha times of whatever we have got from the back propagation. Okay, and again if you simplify this equation, then if you take out this wl common, so this will be 1 minus lambda upon m minus alpha times of whatever we had got from the back propagation. Okay, so what we are doing is we are basically decaying this term wl. So this is the decaying of the parameter WL. So I hope this much is clear to you. And in this lecture, we have seen that how we can apply regularization to the logistic regression. And then in this slide, we have seen that how we can apply regularization to the neural network also. So in the next video lecture, we are going to see that how exactly this regularization is working and how we can remove this problem of high variance using the technique of regularization. So see you in the next video lecture. And I hope this video lecture would have been very much informative to you. If you really like this video lecture, then hit the like button given below. If you have any doubts regarding this video lecture, then you can write in the comment section given below. You can also appreciate me using the comment section below. If you really like this video lecture, then you can share this video lecture among your community. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.